In this video, I will explain why it would be more beneficial for you to integrate your ego instead of dissolving it. Hi, my name is Martina. I am a coach and a family constellations therapy facilitator, and I help spiritual people heal and integrate their ego with systemic coaching. So first of all, I want to tell you how I relate to this and how I even got to talk about the ego, why this is important to me. I always felt like a spiritual person, and growing up, I always understood everyone, and I was always nice to everyone, and much later I realized that I was people pleasing and that I had suppressed anger, and that what I thought were like good things were not so good, or rather that especially with the empathy that I had for people needed to be balanced in order to be healthy. And for example, right now I find myself in a situation in which I'm doing a workaway in Alicante, and I'm in this great place. I have a very good work ethic, and I always stand behind what I do. It doesn't matter if I'm doing videos, if I'm coaching, if I'm cleaning the toilet, it doesn't matter, and I've done it all in my life. So something that I know about my work is that when I do something, I do it properly, because I've struggled with perfectionism, which is also something that I will be talking about in my videos. But for example, now the person where I'm staying, the host, is telling me that I'm not doing a good job, and that that they are not happy with what I'm doing. And of course, I took these kind of things very personally and very seriously before, because it would actually, the real reason is because it would get exactly on the point that was the sorest for me, which is my worth. Because I thought that I didn't have any worth, and it was very hard to hear any kind of criticism, or anyone's opinion would be more important than my opinion and what I know about me. And this is something that changed in the last year very much, and in the last 2 years a lot. And it especially changed with family constellations. So family constellations, if you don't know what it is, it's a type of therapy that helps people bring to awareness their patterns, and it's very, very it's very kind of obvious. And that's I think the greatest point about family constellations is that it really makes it so simple to understand, because everything happens in front of your eyes, and you're kind of like confronted with it, but in a very let's say it's like watching a theater play, So it's not so confrontational, but at the same time you see what's happening. So it confronts you with things, but it's not so confrontational that it provokes, reactions from your ego, especially because family constellations are done on the soul level. So that's a very important point. Another thing is that family constellations actually address the generational trauma, or the generationally past baggage, which is something that we all have, and is something that actually is influencing us much, much more than we think. So I've been helping my clients with coaching since 2021, and something that is very important to me is, and it was always very important to me, is to take into consideration what is their background. So it's not the same for all people. Not all people have come from the same, let's say, I call it the original position. So my original position is that I was anxious. I have anxious attachment style. I had low self-worth, and these are things that affect you for life. This is something that affects all of it. This is going to affect how you communicate. This is especially, this affects your whole perception. So this is something that I always take into consideration with my clients. And they have been having such great results with themselves because of that. And the integration of the ego for people who come from that background, from the background of having low self-worth, or anxiety, or being people-pleasing, or not setting boundaries, integrating ego is the key point. The dissolution of ego is something that it's a myth that doesn't exist. Like dissolution of ego, first of all, let's talk about what is ego. Everything that I'm saying is only my opinion. So this is my opinion. These are my realizations. This is something that I learned through realizations that I had, and that I learned through my life, and I believe through my past lives. But this is not. I'm not a medic. This is not any kind of like. I'm not giving professional advice here, but. Ego, in my opinion, is like an entity that we all get when we are born. So when we as souls get into this reality, so when we are born, we are given, or actually before we are born, we are given an ego as you have an emotional body, a physical body. This is like a body that you get that is necessary for you to live this experience. Without an ego, as without a physical body, you need to have a physical body in order to be able to live this experience, to live in this world. So without it, you wouldn't be able to live this experience, to have this experience. So without the ego entity, we wouldn't be able to have this experience. And so I think having an ego is essential to human beings. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Ego is essential for us as souls, as spirits, to have this human experience. So when you understand it that way, you understand that we have we are spiritual beings, so we have a spiritual nature that is our nature, that are having a human experience, meaning that in this reality, yes, we also have a human nature. So there are two natures that we need to respect, and living this life, living this experience, pretending that we are souls, floating around, is not really giving us anything. It's actually depriving us from having this experience. And not only that, but it's actually disrespecting and not being able to accept with gratitude the gift that we were given of living this reality and living this experience, and yes, being humans, taking on human nature for a bit of our journey, And I think that's why it's very important to integrate your ego and not to dissolve it. Another thing is that I think spiritual people, because they are inclined more towards the spiritual world, or they understand and they they sense better the world of energies than the world of this concrete physical reality. They get very proud of it, which comes from ego, by the way, and they tend to be more keen on claiming that they don't have an ego, which comes from the ego, actually it's not really that their ego dissolves. It doesn't. I'm not talking about spiritual teachers, gurus, whatever. I'm talking about people that you meet in a hostel on a trip, and you talk to them and they say, yeah, I'm a spiritual person. And when you say, oh, what do you think about this? Or why did you look at this person like that? Or why did you answer like that? Or are you having a reaction? And they are going to say, no. I'm a spiritual person. I don't have an ego. And that's it's bullshit. It's total bullshit. That comes from ego. That is ego speaking. Ego wants you to believe, ego wants itself to believe that it's not ego. Ego is very sneaky. It has a zillion faces, and it will make you believe really anything. So the thing is that an ego, even if I could talk about ego being dissolved, sure, but this comes much later. It comes after you accept it, after you integrate it, and after you basically don't give a shit so much. When you get completely out of the duality, when you start living that, and when you understand that it doesn't really matter, that you almost you don't care if you, it's not even it's not even a discussion if you're living from ego or not. It doesn't really matter. When you get to that level of understanding that it doesn't matter, or rather, sure, we all are and we're all not at the same time, then you could get to the part of ego dissolving. But until then, and to even get there, the ego integration is just necessary. And the thing that spiritual people that you meet, that identify themselves as spiritual people, don't understand, is that you need to understand that you're thinking that you have a dissolved ego, or that you don't have an ego, or that you have a weak ego, or whatever of that, is actually coming from your ego. And it is actually exactly the thing that is, it's like a sneaky loop. It's like a vicious cycle. That's exactly the thing that's keeping you from getting to not having an ego, or actually having a healed ego so much that it doesn't even come up, which would be the dissolved ego. Okay, so you I don't know if do you see the sneaky part? It's like ego wanting you to believe that it doesn't exist, so that you don't have to address it, for it not to actually have to dissolve or disappear. I think a lot of people actually get lost in that loop, and they don't understand that actually confronting that and understanding that and going into that and allowing yourself to meet your ego, to know your ego, to also express your ego, to use your ego when you need to, because those are all stages that you need to experiment. And yes, part of that journey, because it's part of the healing, is going to be the pendulum effect, which is something that you're probably afraid of like, yeah, but what if, you know, I say, well, okay, I have an ego, and then all the shit comes out. Well, be sure that all the shit is gonna come out. Definitely, because that's part of the healing process. And a lot of times when you have suppressed something so much that you completely lost track of even having that thing in you, when you kind of open the lid, it just comes out, you know. So it's not controllable, it's not, and you don't even know it. So you cannot, how can you control if you don't know something? Or how can you manage, if you want not to use the word control, but how can you manage something? How can you handle something? How can you know how to, move with something if you don't know it? You need to know it first. But if you ignored it the whole time and you didn't even want to see it, then how can you get to know it? Well, at some point, if you are really in this journey, like if you're really committed to this journey, because this is not for someone who is just, this is not for people who are just interested for everybody else to think that they are spiritual and, like to go around thinking that they are spiritual, telling that they are spiritual and, they are spiritual and that's it. And like dying, never getting to really know themselves, or, that's not for those kind of people. So this is for people who are actually committed to the journey of self-discovery or actually self-uncovery, and who are really committed to the spiritual path, if we want to call it that, who are really committed to that, like who are committed to actually see the shit and dealing with shit and letting the pendulum effect be pendulum effect, and letting themselves to go through their process however they are in each moment, and knowing that it's okay. Like this is for people who are actually willing to do the work, because this requires work and it's not easy. But it's it's not easy, but it's worth it. Sounds cliche, but that's the truth. And yeah, like it's not even like if you think about it, it's something like you're already on that journey. Like if you were not serious about wanting to know your ego, and if you want dissolve your ego wouldn't even come up with the lie of it already being dissolved, so that you don't actually go and face it and actually dissolve it. Like what you want wants you, so whatever you're after is actually already happening. Like you're already on that way. So you watching this video is just the next step, this is the next step. The next step is actually you understanding that you need to take the lid off from the things that you have been suppressing probably your whole life, and to face them in order to heal them, and also to face them in order to integrate them, and also to face them in order for you to really know yourself and for you to know them, so that you can know how to move with all that is you. And yeah, of course, systemic coaching can really help in that, in the way that, I mean, systemic coaching actually combines the family constellations therapy and the coaching. So it actually has the benefit of both of those worlds. So it has the benefit of family constellations therapy that I explained it in the beginning of the video, and it has the benefit of the coaching, because there is also the integration part and the implementation part that, you know, in my opinion, if you just do the therapy, that's something that's missing. And of course, if you just do the coaching, it doesn't have the spiritual component that I think is crucial and is the one that actually shows you from love and from awareness what is going on and what, you know, where is actually the conflict and how you can actually solve it. So yeah, if you want, in the description of the video, there is, I have a program. It's a 6 months program, but for people who don't know if they actually, if this would be for them or not or whatever, I've created this is a one-time offer, but it's a single session that you can book, where you can see actually how it works and you can try it, so you can get a taste of, you know, how it feels to do the systemic coaching program. Yeah, that's it on this topic, and yeah, I see you in the next video. Bye.